In this video, we are going to look at Lookism chapter number 548. In the last chapter, we saw Gitae Kim and Kim have arrived in the arena standing face to face with Jinrang. So we start off this chapter by the king of Incheon, Jaegeon, speeding up his car going towards Incheon because he suspects that James Lee is up to something and he might attack Incheon. Then we see James Lee sitting with a king piece in his hand, calling Jaegeon a half-ass king, and he looks quite relaxed because he knows that the most suitable guy to handle this matter is already in Busan. Then we see Jinrang asking Gitae if he's James Lee's dog, and Daniel asks Gu that now Charles Cho is dead, so are you working for James Lee now? And Gu answers that he works alone and simply follows money. So Daniel asks Kim, who is that tall guy? And Gu says he's Gitae Kim, the king of Shawl, and he's the son of Kim. And everybody is quite shocked after listening to this. And the funny thing is, Vasco thinks Gitae Kim is the president, which is kind of funny. But Gitae Kim is quite pissed off. He doesn't like to be called James Lee's dog, so he says no one can order me around. Tells Jinrang to surrender Busan. So Gitae Kim grabs Jinrang's throat. Sangbek was gonna interfere, but Jinrang told Sangbek to stay out of this. He's Kim's son. So Jinrang says, you're saying the same thing that James Lee said. What are you planning to do? And Gitae says, wrong answer. The correct answer is obedience. And we see lightning flashing behind Gitae Kim in a cold panel. This is probably the coldest panel in the Lookism verse till now. Then Gitae goes on to explain that the first generation and second generation are quite boring. He wants to create a time of chaos like pre-generation where everybody had to struggle to survive. He wants to create an era like it was before Capricorn Kings, and Daniel doesn't like it. He says, now I understand what James Lee's plan is and I won't let that happen. We won't let you succeed. And we see a panel of allied standing side by side, and Gitae Kim looks at Daniel. He says, Daniel Park, I don't like your eyes, and tries to put his hand on Daniel, but Vasco steps in, grabs Gitae's hand and stops Gitae and says, Daniel's eyes are pretty, move away. But Gitae, being probably the strongest character in the Lookism verse right now, he lifts Vasco like Vasco is some little child, and Vasco cannot believe it. Vasco is like, he lifted me? And then we see Kim putting his hand on his head because he understands what Vasco is gonna do here. So Vasco goes for an elbow strike on Gitae on his face, and Gitae is not even budged, standing there just like nothing happened. And he says, you got power, but you are still very immature, and punches Vasco in the face and sends Vasco flying throughout the arena on the arena wall, and it looks like Vasco is down with just one punch, and Daniel cannot believe it. He's sweating. He's like, no way, he knocked out Vasco with one punch. Then Zach Lee steps in, hits Gitae Kim with a punch. It has no effects on Gitae Kim, and Zach's mentality here is very strategic. He thinks that this guy knocked out Vasco with one strike, then it's too risky for me to fight him head on. So he wants to use his speed, then find an opening on Gitae. He also says that the one reason that Gitae will lose is because of his arrogance. Then Zach Lee finds an opening behind Gitae and goes for a punch, but Gitae Kim, man, this guy is on another level. He grabs Zach Lee's throat behind him without even looking at him and holds him in the air. Then Zach Lee activates his iron fortress, but Gitae is so powerful that his punch penetrated through Zach Lee's iron fortress and made him unconscious. Zach Lee's on his knees, spitting blood through his mouth. And then Gitae Kim says, speed and ability to take a hit. That's quite an impressive combination. Then Win Jin steps in. He thinks that Vasco and Zach Lee are idiots, so he lifts Gitae Kim for a German suplex. It looks like he's going to slam Gitae Kim on the back of his head, but Gitae Kim identifies that Mu Jin Jin's Caesarium and says, you got forgotten skills, but your skills are not refined enough, and grabs Win Jin's hand and slams him in the ground, and that was enough to take out Win Jin. And Gitae also explains that using Mu Jin Jin's Caesarium isn't just about brute strength. Then Daniel Park goes for a kick, and Gitae Kim comfortably dodges his kick, and Daniel Park understands that this is a serious situation. He took out all the members of Allied in an instant, so he wants to use his copy skills on Gitae Kim. He starts off with James Lee's speed, which Gitae Kim comfortably dodges again. Then he goes for Kim's technique. Again Gitae Kim dodges his attack, and finally goes for Gun Park's strength, which as usual Gitae Kim dodges him again. And Gitae Kim is like, Daniel Park, how are you so strong even if you haven't climbed those previous walls? You got me curious, what will happen when you reached mastery? And puts his big boot on Daniel's face, stomping his face in the ground, and Daniel is out. And this attack shook Daniel to his core. He's almost in despair, lying on the ground, thinking that even if they tie up Gitae Kim, even then they couldn't do anything to him. That's how strong Gitae Kim is, guys. Then Jinrang goes for an elbow strike, but Gitae is like, this is so boring. Are you really fighting or are you just playing? He says, the snake was way better back then, and Jinrang says, that snake was Jichang Quack and I will repay what he owes you instead. So Jinrang takes Gapryong Kim's fighting stance and Gitae's eyes are wide open. He cannot believe Jinrang is fighting him in a Gapryong Kim stance, and Jinrang lands a clear hit on Gitae Kim, and Gitae Kim is not even budged. And as usual, Gitae Kim is made out of metal. Nothing happened to Gitae Kim, and he's like, this is not it. And then Gitae Kim overpowering Jinrang's attack on him and putting him down with just one punch. I mean, that's it. One punch was enough for Jinrang. Then we hear Goo's voice from behind saying that now that you all done here, I'm gonna take him to James Lee. Gitae saying, who said that I was gonna take him to James Lee? I saw his eyes. He would never surrender, Busan. And takes his axe, hits Jinrang with a psychotic smile on his face. Then we see Jinrang's blood sprinkling around, and finally we see a crazy psychopathic panel of Gitae Kim with a smile and blood on his face, saying that Jinrang is not Gapryong Kim's disciple. Man, it was a heavy chapter. So that's it from chapter number 548. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. I'll see you in the next chapter. Thank you.